The one Microsoft zero day that we have this month is this one with the Windows kernel elevation of privilege vulnerability. That's CVE 2025 622215. Severity is important. Microsoft gave this a CVSS score of a 7.0. For those of you who have been longtime followers of this, you know that in the past several years, we've seen an average of 20 or more Microsoft zero days each year. And in that mix, most of them, the vast majority, so if they released 20 a year, statistically, 18 of those are going to be important with a CVSS score somewhere in the 6.5 to 7.8 range. One each year typically goes up into that critical range with a CVSS score somewhere in the 9.2 to 9.8 range. And one will typically be down in the medium category with a CVSS score of a 4.5 to a 6.5. But the majority of them are going to look a lot more like this. So if your organization is still prioritizing based on vendor severity and CVSS score, the biggest challenge with this, and one of the things that risk-based vulnerability management tried to solve, and exposure management is trying to solve in a more effective, kind of more integrated way, is bringing better risk-based prioritization into the average organization's process. I was just talking with an analyst this week, and still more than 50% of organizations have very basic prioritization metrics that they're using today. What this means is, one, you're prioritizing and looking at the wrong set of vulnerabilities. They're the ones that look like they're bad, but they're not the ones actively being targeted by threat actors. The majority of exploited vulnerabilities are actually lower in severity and CVSS score, but actively being targeted. And the reason they can do that is they're oftentimes chaining multiple of these vulnerabilities together. CVSS and vendor severity are looking at a CVE by itself. Threat actors are taking 2, 3, 4 vulnerabilities at a time, chaining those together to achieve their outcome, and going around our visibility because they're flying under the radar of what you're prioritizing. So again, exposure management mindset, shifting towards a risk-based approach, getting a better prioritization of that. You're not trying to solve all findings in your environment. What you need to solve first is those findings that are actively being targeted by threat actors. Those that are tied to ransomware or actively being exploited are ones that you want to focus on first. That type of experience is available, just a matter of most organizations still don't have it in a way where it integrates it directly into how they're operating today. And that's one of the challenges that exposure management is trying to help bring together, is to make it so that it really comes into a platform where you can get asset visibility, vulnerability aggregation, prioritization, and remediation all from a single platform. Now, it's not a single vendor ecosystem. There's going to be integrations with a variety of players in there, but this tries to bring it together to give you more of a end-to-end experience that helps you to get that better visibility. This vulnerability, by the way, does affect all of the current supported Windows OS editions, and it also includes Windows 10. So when I have mentioned before that, a lot of times when we get around to these end of lives for a Windows OS, some organizations, are like, yeah, I don't know, do we really need to spend the money for the ESU coverage? It's only going to be 6 months. Well, that's going based off of this is a hypothetical risk. Sorry to say, but month 1 after the ESU, we've already got a real world risk to the Windows 10 platform. There is a vulnerability that is actively exploitable. So any Windows 10 systems in your environment, the risk is not hypothetical. It is a real world risk. So try to make sure you've got good mitigations in place if you've got a very short term before you're going to be getting rid of it. If it's going to be any longer than a few months, you really need to look into that ESU coverage, because I expect we're going to see, several more 0 days that will be affecting the Windows 10 OS in the next few months here. So on the Ivanti side, we only had one